Good morning, this is Nicholas from Gandora Gaming, and I bring you guys my Earth Machine deck profile for 2022 post-Power the Elements. I believe this is one of the strongest Tier 2 decks that we have in this format, and it's definitely a sleeper. I think it is topped maybe once or twice in the last few months. This deck got a lot of hype in Dimension Force because of the introduction to the Furion cards, Furion King Regulus. But to be honest, this deck also got support in Power the Elements. The new Vernalizer cards are really strong. I didn't put them in this deck profile because we're still waiting on the second wave of Vernalizers before I would splash them into Earth Machine. But there's still a really cool engine that I did consider putting in this deck. But there is other cards from Power the Elements that this deck did receive. I would love to go over them with you guys. First things first, let's just get into the deck profile. What is Earth Machine? Earth Machine is basically a hodgepodge of different Earth archetypes. It's Machinas, Infinitrax, there's Ancient Gears, there's the rank 10 rail cannon cards. There's a lot of different cards that just mix together really well. There's a Giria XYZ in the extra deck. It's just a lot of really strong cards. Just basically Earth Machine good stuff. And it really makes a really cool, strong control aggro combo deck. It's one of the coolest things about this deck is that it's all three of the type of deck ways. This deck is very aggro because it can make really strong, powerful 3,000 attack bodies and rank 10s that are really strong for OTKing. This deck is very combo oriented because it can go through many different types of Earth Machine lines to end on a very interesting board of interaction. And also it's very control in the fact that it's very resource loop. There's a lot of resource loops that you do in the deck, and you kind of want to grind your opponent out of it. So it's a little bit of all three. You could say it's a ramp up deck because technically it gets stronger and stronger the more you play. But it's just a little bit of everything, and that's what I love about this deck. Now let's get into it with the monsters. First things first, we play one Machina Ruin Force. This card is the boss monster that came out after the structured deck. Machina's got a structured deck, I believe, like 2 years ago, and it was really good. It gave us some really powerful cards, but Ruin Force is definitely a new inclusion. What this card does is that basically its most famous part, well, it's famous for an FTK, but this thing is a house. For one, it is 46,000. It's 4,600 attack, which is gigantic, and it has basically three effects. First effect is you can special summon it from a hand or grave by banishing Earth Machines equal to 12, basically, which is really good. So it's just a free summon. Its second effect is that you can pay half your life points, negate a card, and then have your opponent's life points, which is really stupid. I believe it's all cards. It's an Omni negate. Let's see. Pay half your life, negate the activation to destroy it. Yeah, so it's an Omni negate, which is amazing, and then it halves your opponent's life points, which is also correct. And then let's say your opponent kills this card. Whatever you banish, as long as there are Machinas, you get to reborn them onto the field from the banish zone, which is really strong. This card is a house. It's definitely a great one of, and I really love this card. Ruin Force can literally end games on its own. It's just super good. Next we play two Machine Citadel. I've seen a lot of lists cut this card to 1. I think it's still good as a 2 of. This card is nuts. DD Crow is very rampant this format. That's another reason why I'm playing it as a 2 of, because I have a feeling if I go in this format with Tier Elements and Splite, they're going to be main decking DD Crow. And if you have a Machina Citadel engraved, that is easy DD Crow bait. But let me go into what this guy is. For one, he's a 3,000 attack Earth Machine, and he has the effect of when Earth Machine is destroyed on field, and he's in a hand or grave, you can special summon onto the field. And in quick effect, you can tribute one Earth monster, destroy all cards your opponent controls with less than or equal to its attack. Now he's a 3,000 attack, meaning if you tribute himself, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls with 3,000 or less attack on field, which is pretty nuts. He's a really, really strong card. He came out in the structure decks as legacy support for Machinas, and he definitely shows it. This card is nuts. All Ruin Force and Citadel are nuts. Now, some people, like I said, play 2, but I really just didn't want to get DD crowed, and I just think 2 of is just fine. We played 2 Regulus, so I think 2 twos is good there. Next, we play 1 Machina Fortress. This card is nuts. The reason why this card is nuts is because it's not a once per turn. Let me go into what he does. Basically, what this card does is you can discard machine-type monsters whose total level equal 8 or more, special summon this guy onto the field, which is great. Then, if this card is basically sent to grave by battle or card effect, like destroyed, you could not only get to destroy one card your opponent controls, but you can reborn this guy from the graveyard, which is really, really good. So basically, he's just an extender. He's a non-once per turn summon, so he's just free link fodder, which is really, really good in the combo. Not to mention, he's just a house. He's a 2500. He's level 7, which can come up. And he's just a really, really good card overall. He's a great monster. He's definitely a good one-of. Next is actually the most hardest part of this deck. The debate between Machina Gear Frame and Machina Metal Cruncher. Now, these 3 is a tough debate on which ones you play and which ones you don't. I have all 3 copies. So I play the Machina Gear Frame, and I'll explain why. But let me go over Machina Cruncher as an honorable mention, because this card is nuts, but the real reason why this card sucks is because it's high level. This card was a 4, you'd play this over Machine Gear Frame. But because it's a 9, it has the ability, basically I'll explain what this guy does. Basically, if you control no cards, and you can normal summon this, but you treat it as an 1800. And then it adds, you get to reveal 3 Earth Machines from your deck, add 1 to hand randomly. You only use this effect once per turn. The reason why we don't play him is because we're not playing many 3-ofs when it comes to the machine monsters, so you might not always get what you need. The other issue with him is that you must control no cards, no face-up cards, which means going second, or like going into like longer turns, he's kind of useless. He's just sitting in your hand. That's why we don't play him. This deck kind of wants to grind, and it's hard to grind if you can't summon one of your monsters. Now, he is a 9, which is really good for Fortress, because he completes the Fortress could just discard him from hand to summon himself, which is nice. But I think he's still a side deck option. Not a side deck option, but more like an optional choice. This card's nuts, especially going first, but then in the later turns, it gets less and less good. Now, the reason why we're playing Gear Frame over him is because it's a level 4. It has 2 effects. Only one that really matters is that when this card is normaled, you can add a Machina monster from your deck to your hand, which is any of these dudes. The reason why that's important is because you really want to get to Fortress. Citadel is easy enough to dump, and so is Ruin Force. But you really want to get Fortress into rotation to help you link climb, which is really, really good. It's also important that he's a level 4, because that can help us go into Naturia Beast, which is a card we are playing in the deck. It also has the effect you can equip it to an Earth Machine, basically, and you can unequip it as well. It's a good 1800 beat stick, but other than that, it's alright. And then finally, for our last Machina, we play 1 Machina, Produce Rags. This guy's a 1-of. It basically has the effect you can reborn I believe, a Machina from grave. Machine monster from your graveyard. Yeah, you can just target 1 Machina monster in your graveyard, and you special summon it in defense position, but it can't activate its effects this turn. Which is fine, because you're summoning on a Citadel. It's just free interruption, not to mention it's just free link climbing. I hate that he's a dark. I wish he was an Earth like all the others, because that means we'll play 4 cards that we made with the Cherry Beast. But hey, he's a dark. He's fine. He also has the effect where basically you can target whenever Machina monster you control in 1 spell trap your opponent controls, or turn them in the hand, which is really good against like Floodgates. If your opponent's trying to floodgate you out of the game, this card can just bounce it back, which is really, really cool. And yeah, he's just our 1-0 spell and trap removal. Next things next, we play 2 Furion King Regulus. This guy's amazing. My original build of this deck is I thought you needed 3 of them. I actually own 5 Reguluses, which is crazy because this guy's expensive. But Regulus is a really, really strong card. Basically, he's the best thing machine decks ever got when it comes to like indirect support. Furions kind of support a whole bunch of different archetypes like plants, machines, technically psychics, because I think one of them is a psychic now. But no, Regulus is nuts. So basically, he's an Omni-Negate. You can special summon him by equipping a machine or a Furion monster from your grave onto him. He has the effect you can tribute him to negate a card, which is really, really good. And if you have, like, say, another Furion attached to him, then he doesn't tribute himself. He just sends the Furion to grave, which is nice. The reason why he's a 2-of is because he's easy searchable. He's easy to summon onto the field. And he's recyclable, which is really, really nice. You don't need 3. You don't need the field spell. 2 is fine. He is a really, really strong card. Also, he's a level 8, which, if you want to go for a more synchro build of this deck, we do play a level 1, so technically we make 9s. But it's debatable. I think Regulus is fine as a 2-of. Next, we play 2 Heavy Freight Train. Now, this one's another debate in the congestions. This guy is an amazing card. I play him as a 2-of. Basically what he does is if an Earth Machine monster is normal or special summon, you can special summon this card onto the field, but its original attack and defense is halved. Then if it detaches material from an XYZ monster and it's sent to graveyard, you can target 1 card and your opponent controls and destroy it. So this card is amazing. So not only is this a free level 10 extender or a free link fodder extender, when it is detached as an XYZ material, it pops a card, which is really, really stupid. And then finally, I play 1 Super Express Bullet Train. Super Express Bullet Train is a good 1-of. It is a target off Urgent Schedule, which is a 3-of in his deck. And basically, this card has a couple effects. You can't declare attacks unless you send 2 other monsters you control to grave, which doesn't matter because it uses summoning this off Urgent Schedule. But it also has the effect where basically all monsters opponent controls become Earth. You control a minimum 1. You special summon this card from your hand, so it's a free summon on the field. It also has the effect during the end phase, it discards a graveyard because it was sent there this turn. You can target 1 machine card in your grave, except this card, add it to hand. That part is amazing. So not only does it add 1 of your machines from grave back to hand or extra deck, because if you target an extra deck monster, it'll just go back to the extra deck, which is nice. It's just really good recursion. It's a level 10 extender, and it's just a really, really strong card. And that is it for the rank 10s. That's the rank 10 engine. Now we go on to the 1 Ancient Gear card we play in the main deck, which is Ancient Gear Box. This card is our Garnet of the deck. It's really, really good. It's technically another Naturia target, but we're never actually going to summon it like that. Basically what this card does is when this card is added from your deck to your hand, which we could do in the combo, basically you can add 1 Earth Machine type monster with 500 attack or defense from your deck to your hand, which is we'll get into that, but some of the infinite tracks, it's just a really, really good add. And it's just a really good addition. It's just a free card we can add. It's +2 technically an advantage. Not to mention it's discard fodder off Fortress, which is really, really nice. That is it for the Ancient Gears. Now we just have the infinite tracks when it comes to the machine monsters. Next we play 3 Bulldozer. This card is amazing. I've seen some people put this card at 2, and that is a good debate. I like him as a 3 because I really just want to see him. Basically, you just tribute 1 Earth machine monster you control, special summon this card in defense position, and then you can special summon from your hand, or not, my apologies, from your deck in defense position another machine or monster, but I believe its effects are negated. But that's fine because it's basically a free rank 5 or a free link 2, which is just really, really strong. Once you do his effect, he does lock you into Earth Machines, which does suck. but you can still make the Chariot Beast before you make him, which is fine. The Chariot Beast requires a setup, so if you don't draw like 1-for-1, Foolish, or just the guy himself, the tuner we play, then most likely you weren't going to make him anyway, so it's fine playing him as a 3-of. Next we played Trencher. The idea was you could play 2 Trencher, 2 Bulldozer. That is a good debate as well, but I think just 1 Trencher is fine. All the Infinite tracks that are level 5 or higher have the same effect, or contribute to Earth Machine, special summon it in defense position, and then banish this card from the graveyard. So he has a banish effect. When he's banished from the graveyard, you can target 1 level 5 or lower Infinite track in your grave, special summon it in defense position. So he's kind of like the Gozuki of Earth Machines for the Infinite track monsters. It's really good. It is the idea you play 2/2, but I like it as a 3/1-of. There's so many recycling you do in his deck. I think Trencher is a good 1-of. You don't want to see him in hand. You kind of want to see Bulldozer or the other one, which we'll get to, the level 2 guy, a Harvester. Then you want to see Trencher. Next you play 1 Infinite track Tunneler. This is another 1-of. Basically, like I said, it's a free summon. You usually summon it off Bulldozer. But it also has the effect where you can banish this card in grave, shuffle 5 Earth Machines from your graveyard back to deck, and you draw 2. This is your Pot of Greenness deck. You can get this set up very easy. You recycle your extra deck really easy. It's just a free draw 2. This card's amazing. It's a good 1-of. And yeah. Next we play 1 Infinite track Anchor Drill. This card is essential. For a while we were playing this at more copies, but you only really need 1. Basically when this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon 1 Earth Machine monster from your hand in defensive position, and then you can modulate its level, which is really strong. That's also another Chariot target, which is nice because 4 + 1 equals not a 5. My apologies, can't do math today, it's too early for this. But basically, it's just a really cool extender. And yeah, that's basically what this card does. It just modulates its levels. Helps you go into 7s, 5s, any number of levels. 8s, 9s. It helps you go into anything you want. Next we play Infinite Track Harvester. This is our last of our Infinite Tracks. This card is amazing. You can normal or special summon this card. When this card is normal or special summon, you get to add an Infinite Track. So the idea is that you get to get into this card, normal or special summon it, add Bulldozer, Tribute Harvester, Bulldozer, summon out 2 level 5s, and then you just go comboing from there. It's just a really strong card. And then it also has the effect where basically it can also modulate levels, just like how Anchor Knuckle can, or this guy right here can. So he's just a really cool extender, and he's just a really good starter. Him and Gear Frame are really good cards. There is an argument to cut this, like I said, for the Metal Cruncher, and use your normal summon on Harvester. But we can summon Harvester off a couple ways. So I think it's as good as 2 normal summon Lions. And now let's go on to the newest card from Power the Elements. Now this is the only card we're playing in Power the Elements, but it's definitely a good card. And it's our last monster too. We play 3 Ashra the Earth Charmer. Now this card is nuts. So like Speedroid decks, the Charmers seem to be getting really generic. They're like the when Links first came out, there was like these generic Link 2s. They're like Miss Starboy and like kind of a Hyperstar, whatever his name was. But basically what I'm trying to get at, there's these really generic Link 2 monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Charmers are kind of becoming that, but they also have main deck ones. So right now there's 2 main deck Charmers that have basically the same effect. There's Ashra the Earth Charmer, and there's also Ashra the Wind Charmer. I don't know if it's exactly Ashra, but it's like the Wind Charmer. But basically, both have the same effect, where you can discard this card and another card, special summon, or not special summon, add from your deck to your hand this one says Earth, the other one says Wind, monster from your deck to your hand, but you're locked into that attribute for the rest of the turn. This card is amazing. It adds Harvester, which is nuts. It adds any extender that you need. This card is amazing. Yes, it does lock us, and yes, you do have a discard, which sucks if it gets Ash, but it's just a really good extender, and you definitely gotta play as a 3-of. This card is amazing. It's just a really, really strong card. It's just free. It's just free at. It's just really, really good. And that is it for the monster lineup. Now it's time. Oh wait, just one more. Recovery. This is the tutor we're playing. This guy's kind of cool. He's kind of like the Globe Bulb 2.0. We'd rather play Globe Bulb, but we don't have access to him. If you really want to go into the Eternia route, you can play Emergency Teleport, which we're not. But back when I was playing Fluffles, which is one of my favorite decks, Recovery was a good alternative to Globe Bulb, but we lost that. Basically, what Recovery does is that it's a Psychic level 1 Earth tutor, which is important because that's how you make the Cherry Beast. Level 1 plus a 4 equals 5. And basically, it has a similar effect to the Cherry Beast, or not the Cherry Beast, Globe Bulb, where when this card's in graveyard, you can reborn onto the field, but banish it when it leaves the field. And basically, what that effect is that basically, if you have less extra deck monsters than your opponent, I believe it has to be like 5, you can just special summon this guy onto the field, which is nice. You do have to pay 2,000 life points, which sucks, but that doesn't matter because we go through our extra decks so much in this deck that it's very easy to dump this guy in the grave, then just special summon him onto the field, and then go straight into the Cherry Beast, which is just really, really strong. He's a 1-of. If you want to take him out, you probably can. The 2 cards I'm playing for it is Foolish Burial and 1-for-1. But Foolish Burial is always good in this deck because of the guys that float in the graveyard, which is all 4 of these dudes. And it's also just good because 1-for-1 can discard any of these higher level guys to then special summon this level 1 dude, go into just a synchro play, which is really, really cool. Or I guess a link play if you want to go that route either. But I think all our links require machines, and since it's psychic, it's not the greatest. If anyone can tell me in the comments if there's an Earth Machine level 1 tuner, I would definitely play that over Recovery. But Recovery is not a bad card whatsoever, and I think it's a good 1-of. And that is it for the monsters. Now it's time to go into the spells and traps, which will be a lot quicker. As you see, this is a very monster-heavy deck, so this deck probably will end in 8 more minutes, hopefully. All right, so we already mentioned 1-for-1 and Foolish Burial's purpose. Foolish Burial can also send, like I said, the higher level dudes which float in grave. But we already spotted about these 2 1-ofs. Next, we play 3 Machina Redeployment. This card is amazing. Basically, what this card does is that you can discard 1 card, add 2 Machina monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, which is amazing. You can also discard 1 Machina card, add 2 Machina cards with different names to your deck to your hand. And basically, this is discard a card, add 2 different Machina monsters, which is nuts. The Machinas are great. You really want to use this, you can discard the higher level Machinas to get the Machinas you want. And it's just a very, very free card. Next we play is 3 Heavy Forward. This card is nuts. Basically, this is how you get your Infinite Track line going if you don't have access to the Earth Charmer or any Infinite Tracks in hand. Basically, what this card does is that when this card is activated, you can add an Infinite Track monster for your deck to your hand, which is usually going to be a Harvester, but if you're using your normal summon on, what's it called, the Gear Frame, you can search, what's it called, their names are just blanking on me right now, even though I just said them. You can summon out Brutal Dozer instead. But this card is just really, really cool. And it also has the other effect, where basically you can target 1 machine XYZ you control, and activate these effects, you change its battle position, or attach this card's material to it, which is nuts. It's very good, because you can reborn someone from graveyard, and when you do that, you can attach this card to them as material, so they can use their effects again, which is really, really strong. Next 3-of is 3 Urgent Schedule. This card's amazing. Now, this card isn't as great going first, but Gamma is a pretty strong card in this format. And if you are going second, you definitely want to see this card. This card is amazing. Basically, what this card says, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon 2 level 10s from your deck to your hand. which is really, really strong. 205 or higher monsters for Dick your hand. That's what it exactly says. And then I believe it locks you into Earth Machines. And then if this set card is set from field to grave, you could add a level 10 machine a monster from your deck to your hand. You'll use each effect once per turn. This card's nuts. It's just free link fodder. It's free rank 10 fodder. It's a really, really good going second card, but it isn't bad going first either because we can't discard it. And it's just a good card. You can't tell me you can't play Earth in the schedule. Next, we play another good going first or second card, which is Triple Tack. I was debating Dark Ruler or this. Personally, since that can do both, I prefer this over Dark Ruler. I'd rather have Dark Ruler side deck. Triple Tack is just really good because basically if you're going second, it helps you board break. And if you're going first, it helps you draw 2, which is just really, really strong. This card is just a really fantastic card as helping you play through opponent's hand traps. And then finally, we play for our spells and for our trap cards, because that is it for these spells. We play 2 Machina Overdrive. Now this card is pretty sick. This is also the reason why we're playing 2 Machina Citadel, because we can summon it off Overdrive. Overdrive has 2 effects. You can target 1 machine monster you control, special summon 1 machine monster with a different name for your deck to your hand, and then destroy the targeted monster. Which is cool because it helps you summon out Citadel. Or if you're not trying to summon out Citadel, say you're trying to summon out Fortress with this card, and Citadel is already engraved, you can destroy a machine you control, dodge targeting, special summon out one of the other Machinas, and then Citadel will trigger from grave, special summoning itself, which is nuts. And it also has the second effect where you can banish this card, and I believe shuffle 3 machine cards in from your deck to grave, and then you draw 1, which is nice. Yeah, 3 Machina monsters, which is nice. It is another way to recur stuff from grave. We have 4 ways to recur stuff. We have these 2, the I believe it's Bruto-Dose? No, not Bruto-Dose. Okay, their names. The Infinitrack, Trencher, no, not Trencher, Tunneler, and we also have the rank 10 guy, who is the Bullet Train, that helps you recycle. So these are all the ways we recycle from the grave, which, like I said, this deck has a lot of recursive engine. This is it for the main deck. We do have a cool side deck we can show you. Honestly, it just goes in matches, skill drains, just really cards to help us go second or first. Dark Ruler no more. Just a whole bunch of really, really strong cards. But overall, it's just time to go over the extra deck now. I will say this when it comes to the extra deck for Earth Machines. It's very toolboxy. The extra deck does have some essential cards, but there is some room. Like, for example, most Earth Machine decks don't play the Churia Beast. But I feel like if you're playing an Earth-based deck and you don't have too many restrictions on you, you might as well just go into the Churia Beast. I feel like this is a really, really strong card. But let's just get into it. First things first, we play 1 Infinitrack Fortress Megaclops. This is kind of our boss monster, the extra deck. We have a couple of them in the extra, but this is our Link version. He's pretty cool. You have to summon him by using 3 XYZs, which is kind of hard to do in this deck, but at the same time, it's just an easy inclusion. We never really make this guy, but we definitely can sometimes. So it's just an easy one of. It's unaffected by monsters except XYZs. It can't be destroyed by battle except by XYZs or card effects by X. It's just everything except XYZs, spells, and traps. It's a good one of. It's just a really, really strong card. But we never really go into it. Like I said, it's kind of just like against all of our matchups, this card kind of is an auto win. So we play as a one-of. Next we play is 3 Goliath. Now this card is mandatory if you're playing the Infinitrack engine. An Infinitrack Goliath is an amazing, amazing card. It's definitely crucial to the combos. Basically what this card says, it needs 1 non-link Infinitrack monster. And it has a couple effects. If this card is set from your field graveyard, you can target 1 XYZ you control, attach this card as material. It also has the effect where an XYZ would be destroyed. You can basically, it can't be destroyed in battle. It gains that effect. Now, the reason why this is important is because it's a level 1. Oh, it's not a level 1. It's a link 1. so it helps you link climb very, very easy. You can basically go into 2 Goliaths and just straight up combo into our other 2 cards. Very, very strong. We play 1 double-headed Anchor Knuckle. Now this is our honorary Earth Machine Machina card, because this card is amazing. It requires 2 machine monsters and basically has a couple effects. It has 2 to be exact. It can be used as link material, which is fine. And basically it has 2 effects. During the main phase, quick effect, you send 1 monster from your hand or field to graveyard, which includes himself. Target 1 level 10 monster in your graveyard, supposed to summon it in defense position, but effects are negated, which is fine. It also has the effect if you control this card is in your graveyard, you send 1 card from your hand or field to grave, supposed to summon this card, which is great for link climbing, which is really, really strong because it helps you go into Ballista. Now, Ballista is a very, very powerful card. It's really, really good in this deck and in Ancient Gears. This card has great legacy support. Basically, it's how we get to our gearbox, which is basically a draw 2, which is nice because you get to add the gearbox and then add any Earth Machine, which is nice. But he also has a couple other effects. If this card is linked summon, you can add the Ancient Gear monster, which is basically a gearbox, from your deck to your hand. Then you can also target 1 spell trap you control and 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy it. And if you do, change the opponent's monster's attack and defense to 0 to the end of the turn. So it helps you go for game. It's a very, very strong card. Basically, not only does it pop a card, it makes another monster on the field 0 attack, which is nuts. And yeah, it's just really, really strong. Now it's time to go into our XYZs, which is there's a lot. The XYZs, we'll start into importance and then go work our way from there. So now, time for our XYZs. First things first, we play 1 Gear Gigant X. This card's amazing. This card used to be a huge staple in older formats. Machinas used to be the first Earth Machine deck that were really, really strong. Machinas and Geargias. Card carries 2 to an extent, but it was definitely Geargias. Geargias had a lot of time to be playable, same thing with Machinas, and those 3 decks were kind of go hand in hand. They were the first Earth Machine variants. Nowadays, Infinitrack and the Ancient Gear stuff and the Furion stuff is new stuff. But this guy's still a really, really good staple and has good regular support for all Earth Machine decks. Basically, it's 2 level 4s, which is good because we are playing the gear frame in order to make this guy. But basically what it does is that you can detach 1 material from this card, add a level 4 lower machine monster from your deck to your hand, which is nice because you can also add Gear Frame off him. And they stop the Ballista. You can go into Gear Gigant X, add the Gear Frame, and then Gear Frame will add whatever you want. So it's a double add too. It's just a really cool XYZ. We don't really go into him too much. He's not important to the main combo, but he's still a combo we can go into, and he's still a really good add card, which is strong. Now, the real XYZ that's the heart and soul of this deck, River Storm. River Storm is so essential, it's ridiculous. Now, he has 2 effects, and both are insane. Basically, his first effect is you can detach 1 material from this card, take 1 Earth Machine monster from your deck, and either add to your hand or send him to grave. This guy is Geargian X, but easier to make and just better. The fact that you get the option to send to grave or add to hand is amazing. And the fact that it's only detached 1 is also good. And it's a 2500 beat stick. He also has the effect, and when this card is in your graveyard, you contribute 1 machine link monster, special summon this card in defense position, which is important because these guys can attach to him, which is good because then you get its effect again, which is nuts. A very, very strong card. I almost want to play 2 River Stormer just in case they DD Crow this card, but I think 1 is fine. I think it's a very, very powerful extract monster that helps you extend and add cards very efficiently. We can also reshuffle it back into the deck using the multitude of cards we went into. We also take 1 Infinitrack Mountain Smasher. Now, I see a lot of people don't play this guy. Same thing goes with the Infinitrack Fortress. But I think he's a cool one of. Basically, he's 2 level 7, so you can only really make him with the level modulator dudes and the Machina guy, the original Machina dude, the level 7 guy. And basically he has two effects. One effect is that he gains 1,000 attack by detaching a material, which is fine. And then basically he has another effect. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can attach that monster to it as material. And the reason why that's important is because it helps you get rid of really annoying monsters that would float. So the idea is that instead of sending it to grave or having it engraved for them to use on their turn, you can attach it to him as material so they don't have access to that card again, which is really, really cool. He's also a free Zeus, basically, so he helps you not only get over your monsters, but you basically make up advantage because whatever you destroy, he'll become 31. Well, then he'll just attach to him, and then he's just a 3100 Zeus, which is really, really strong. Well, not 301 Zeus, but he'll be 301. Attach a card from your opponent's grave onto him, and then you can just make a Zeus on top, which is really, really strong. Next, we play one Earth Slice. Earth Slice is essential as well. He's just another way to clear the board. He's kind of like the Mountain Slicer, but better. He's Earth Slicer. He's 3,100 from the get-go. And he has two effects. Basically, when this card destroys a monster by battle, attaches to material. I think they all say that, actually, which is crazy. All three of the Infinite Tracks do that, which is nuts. And then it also has two other effects. You detach any number of cards on the field, target that many cards on the field, and destroy them, which is nuts. So this card will usually have two. You can detach two and pop two, which is nice. Then it'll destroy another monster to have an additional card underneath it in order to destroy again. And then it also has the effect, if this card is in your graveyard, you can tribute one machine monster, one machine link monster, special summon in defense position, which is fine because they all share that effect. These guys are very capable of coming back from the graveyard and help you go into Zeus plays, which is nice. Speaking of Zeus, we might as well mention him. He's definitely a good one-of in this deck. I almost want to put him as a two-of. But he's just a really, really strong card. We all know what Zeus does. Detach to send all the cards on the field to grave. Really, really great. Not once per turn. Stupid. And finally, we have our three XYZs. We have Super Dreadnought Rail King Cannon. Basically, this card was a part of FTK where you basically went through a whole bunch of rune forces in order to burn your opponent for 8,000 life points turn one. And it was never really a good deck, but it was still a really cool combo. And I'm happy it exists for like a month, but I'm pissed at it because it got one of my favorite decks nerfed, that being Infernoid. Because Infernoid was one of the only decks that played Monster Gates, and now Monster Gates back at 1, which fucking sucks. Because Reasoning at 1 and Monster Gate 1 means that deck is kind of dead now, which sucks. Next we play one number 81, Super Dreadnought Rail Cannons. Dude has a super, super long name. He's a 3,200. It basically says one turn quick effect. You target a detachable material, target one card on the field. It's unaffected by card effects until the end of the turn, which is cool. It helps you protect cards. He's kind of like a negate. He's just a really, really strong card. I don't know why he says he's a negate. He doesn't negate cards. He just says they're unaffected. He's kind of like a protection card. He's cool. We never really make him because we're always just going to go into him to then go into him. Because this guy is nuts. Because he can. This guy has two effects. Basically, detach, becomes 6/5 attack. And then he can make multiple attacks a turn, which is nuts. It helps you go for game. And then finally, as a spicy one-off, we play the Chariot Beast. We all know what the Chariot Beast does. Basically, it is a spell and trap negate. Well, not trap negate, just Omni spell negate. As long as you can send two cards from your deck to grave, he's a non-once return spell negate. Go against Sky Striker, they cry, they can't play. Go against Splight, you're negating a lot of their cards. You're not negating their main deck dudes, but the rest of the Infinite Tracks can handle that. And it's just a really, really strong, stupid card. And I'm glad that it isn't banned. Out of all the cards in this extra deck, this is the card that's most likely ever going to get banned. If an Earth Machine deck, or not Earth Machine, but any Earth deck ever becomes too meta and it can make synchros, this deck will be on the chopping block because negating every spell card is stupid, and that's why it's my favorite synchro. And that is it for the extra deck. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't do anything stupid, and y'all take care now, alright? See ya. Oh, if you want a combo tutorial, I would definitely love to show you that. in a later video. This video is already going pretty long because I had to explain all their effects, which is a lot. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Like and subscribe, and comment below if you would want to see that video. Alright, y'all take care now. Bye-bye.